There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, everyone. Welcome back to the Yonkō Table. I'm your Yonkō host, DrJaceAttorney, and we're here to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2. In case you guys don't remember, we covered Part 1 way back, and I want to say like July, June-ish, or whatever time He-Man Part 1 or Masters of the Universe Part 1 came out. I feel like not enough people are giving praise to Masters of the Universe Part 2, and one of them is in this very table right now. I'm kidding. But before we dive deep into it, we have fellow Yonkō, GrandMasterHoop. GrandMasterHoop, were you singing the praise of Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 2?
Not at first. It was hard for me to get. I've the first 3 episodes, I think I fell asleep at the end of each one. And then the other day when I went to go finish, I rewatched halfway through episode 3, and I'm glad I did, because that's when shit hit the fan and it was starting to get good again. Because yeah, man, it's slow to start.
It is slow.
I will say they ended strong. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. I think they finished strong, and I wasn't aware that there might be more to come. But if more comes, I think I'll be semi-invested. Yeah, let's say
semi-invested. Yeah,
it's still got its little problems here and there, but
that's fine.
If they can deliver, I'll tune in.
Okay, fair enough. And with us as well to talk about Part 2 of Masters of the Universe Revelations is fellow Supernova Toasty. Toasty, how have you been? Have you had a good morning, friend?
I had a wonderful morning. Like I mentioned before we started recording, I slept pretty well last night. 12 hours of sleep. So I felt great. But I'm excited to talk about this show. Yeah, so let's get started.
Yeah. Let's get started. We had 5 episodes to close us out with... I'm just going to start calling it He-Man Part 2. I'm not going to be calling it Masters of the Universe the entire time. He-Man Part 2. We have 5 episodes to close us out with He-Man Part 2. I guess before we go like straight into the 5 episodes, like where were we sitting at with the first 5 episodes? I know we talked about it when we talked about Part 1 like a couple months back. But did you have expectations going into Part 2? Did you want certain things answered, or were you kind of just going in hoping for whatever? You didn't really care? I mean, I know for me, I was kind of indifferent, like, because I liked Part 1, even though apparently the fan base didn't like Part 1 for numerous reasons. But I thought it was fine, and the way Part 1 ended with Skeletor becoming Buff Man at the end, I wanted to see where that was going to go, so I was excited to see that. But what about you guys? What were your expectations going in to Part 2?
None. Had nothing.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not, this is a continuation of the original 1980s show, and so this is really catered to a new generation, but really it's for that old generation as far as what to expect. I still don't know half these characters, while, some older fans are getting really nostalgic to see certain characters pop up. So,
okay.
I was just expecting to continue with breaking the mold of, these generic type of shows and whatnot, which Part 1 did by making it Tila centered, and all the all the weeb boys and the fanboys were like, "Where's He-Man? Where's He-Man?" So I wanted more break the mold, do your own thing. If it's what did you call it that one time?
Masters of the Patriarchy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Right. So that's it. Coming in. That's all I had.
All right. What about you, Toasty? Any expectations?
Honestly, I didn't expect anything really that great. I just expected a decent show that I watched once and never watch again. And it was just that. I'm not going to watch that show again. It did what it did. I'm not a fan of the old 80s, 90s, whatever 70s show it was. So I don't care for the references. I don't really care for the character. I just went in there expecting a good story. Part of it was good. Other part were garbage. And that's it.
Okay. I think that's a fair assessment. I'm not as much as I like. I think I'm still off the high of like the ending. I really like the ending. Yeah, you know, there wasn't really too much like I guess going on to really sing the praise of for Masters of the Universe Part 2. God, I did it again.
Nothing really happened. That's the issue. And nothing happened until the end. It was just you sitting there waiting to see the end. Nothing happened.
Well, I guess we can go like into each episode and talk about them. So we got episode 1. This one, I feel like this is probably where Grandmaster was really talking about the slowness, because I felt it in episode 1. This is like a flashback with Teela and her mother, and I guess what she had to do to become the new sorceress of Castle Grayskull. But I mean, not too much was really happening in this episode. I wasn't feeling it. We did get to see Skeletor, you know, be, I don't even know what version of that you would call him.
He's Skeletor.
He's Skeletor. Ew, no, he's Skeletor.
Skeletor man, I don't know.
Skeletor man, fine. We'll call him Skeletor man. But you know, not much happened when he turned into that. I mean, he's the villain now, so that part was exciting, but aside from that, Skeletor's invasion begins, and we get the revelation at the end. I don't know if the show ever did this, but, you know, Prince Adam, you know, posed the question, what would happen if I called on the power without the sword? Because the sword is not really the thing that gave me the power. I gave it the power. I was the spark, as he said. The sword was the conduit. So I don't know if the original show ever did that. I don't think it did, because that just sounded way too creative for the show back then. I mean, I don't know. I could be entirely wrong.
No, I doubt they did that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they mentioned it as far as being like anyone could pick up the sword and, you know, call down the power.
Right.
Let alone call down the power without the sword. So,
right.
Yeah, it just sounds like, you know, Kevin Smith, who, you know, wrote like all of this show.
Right.
It's just because remember, these are toys. These guys are living out their little toy box fantasies. You know, this is what they were playing with. They're like, hey, let me give the sword to Skeletor. Wouldn't that be cool? Oh, wait a minute. That's genius. What? Oh, and then the power. You could call it. He doesn't need the sword. He could call it down. So I don't think that was ever alluded to, but I think it was very creative, and the result was definitely. I was awake for the result, because everything else I was like on my phone. I was like, okay, all right, let's do something.
Oh my
here.
God! Now that you say that, I get that vibe, especially from the ending. With Skeletor and He-Man teaming up. I mean, we'll get into it later on, but like now that I'm thinking about like the, you know, these creators living out their toy fantasies, like, oh yeah, Skeletor, He-Man, you can fight for a greater good.
Right.
That's hilarious. Oh wow, I didn't even see that. But I mean, what do we call this new He-Man? I called him Ape Man. That's literally what he is.
I think he's.
I agree.
No, I think he's Ape Man. They're not gonna call him
Hulk Man, Ape Man.
No, I think he's called Savage He-Man. Like
Savage He-Man. Oh, that's like the official.
Like I think if you hit if you go back into the episode, it says Savage He-Man is running amok or something.
Oh, like in the subtitle or the
In
description?
the like they add the description, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but Eighth Man,
Savage.
they're not gonna call him Eighth Man.
Why not?
Because that's like a Tarzan reference. That's
He
potion ideas.
basically was.
That's what he was.
He
Okay.
was not Tarzan. Tarzan
This
don't
is-
run around like that. Tarzan
Listen,
can't do that.
listen. When you said you didn't wake up until episode 3, this is where my cutoff was for episode 2. This woke me up for episode 2 because I was not expect. This went full anime. Ape Man was going. I'm gonna call him Ape Man. Ape Man was going in on Skeletor. Skeletor could barely react, and it was hilarious because he was shitting his pants the entire fight. I thought it was great.
No, yeah, I think the animation, that reminded me. I was like, oh, there goes that Castlevania animation. None of this cookie cutter, like cut and paste type action that we've been seeing with this show. They put money into that scene for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was just funny too because it's like Skeletor finally got the power, and then nothing's really gone his way since he's got the power. He's like, oh, he can still call down the power, and then he gets murked, like mollywopped. Like, poor guy can't catch a break.
To be fair, Skeletor was an idiot. He had the power and he didn't do anything with it. He's so obsessed over He-Man, he couldn't think about doing anything else. So it's his fault at the end of the day.
Evelyn did point that out. She said that his obsession clouded his mind over He-Man. Like, you have all this power, and mind you, this is before because what he has. The power is kind of like in tiers, because like the power Skeletor has, like the power over the universe, but then there was the power later on that was the power over all existence, which, I mean, you would think like if you have power over the universe, it's kind of the same thing, but whatever. But yeah, like he was obsessed with He-Man this entire time, and I guess I could understand.
It was way more than obsessed. It was borderline weird at this point.
It's unhealthy for sure.
Yeah, it was unhealthy. Like, God.
No, we definitely see that, especially in the ending. Because at that, listen, regardless of what his obsession was, I loved what I wanted to see from part 1 that we didn't get a lot of was Mark Hamill's Skeletor. We saw him in some flashbacks. We saw him in the beginning, and then we saw him at the end, and then some flashbacks sprinkled in. Skeletor is present in the entirety of part 2, and regardless of how much of an idiot he is, I don't know. I love the guy. Maybe it's Mark Hamill's voice that I'm a sucker for when he does these roles, but I mean it's literally just the Joker.
He chewed up those scenes. He had a lot of fun.
He did. Yeah, you could tell he had fun with that.
Yeah, and I think that's. Again, well, credit to the character of Skeletor. He is an idiot. He is overly obsessed with He-Man, but it like makes sense, Right. He-Man has been the giant question mark in his life as far as he was winning, and then He-Man comes and he starts losing. Now he gets the power and he's still losing. I can understand why he's so obsessed. I mean, he's just he's a power maniac. He just wants power. And to defeat this dude, but then there's so many questions that he's not looking at, and he's not looking at the bigger picture.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
I think this show does a lot of little, like underlying themes of like types of like disorders of the brain and whatnot. Like,
oh, really?
We'll get into it later. I think in episode 3.
Okay.
That's where I think it really hits home.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think part of the obsession comes out of, him learning that He-Man was just a boy.
Just a boy.
Just a boy. Yeah, just a boy ruined his. I mean, I don't know how long in canon this like battle between the two have been going on, but I can assume like at least a few years or so. Oh, Toasty, you're muted if you can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. I would say it's definitely been a couple years since they had been on a fight.
And
Because you can see how obsessed he is with the guy. Like, he just wanted to beat him, and he finally did. And once he did, he realized he had nothing going on anymore. That's why he probably was so bored. So
that's his rivalry. It gives him a drive to have He-Man.
A reason to live.
Exactly. But yeah, aside from Ape Man having that 1v1 with Skeletor, I really love that scene. We get a revelation towards the end of episode 2 where apparently all Adam needed to calm down was daddy's love, daddy's approval.
Daddy issues. He had daddy issues.
He did have daddy issues. His dad was a dick for sure.
And you know what?
Part 1.
Let's pause it right here. I really hate how they gloss over this fact. The fact that the dad was such a douchebag in part 1. But in this part, they made it seem that there was nothing ever wrong. Like, I feel like the dad just went from being a complete douchebag to be like, oh, I'm the best dad in the world. I really hated that we didn't see the dad point of view of realizing, hey, I messed up with my son.
I feel like he did. Because, like, you have to remember from their perspective, like, they learned that their son was He-Man at the same time that their son died. So
I know, and I wish I had that scene. Like, I wish they should.
We had it in part 1.
Scene. I mean, honestly, then I can't remember.
Yeah, in part 1, when he died, it was that big revelation where they informed the king that He-Man was dead. He-Man has fallen, and then he was like, "Oh, well, he was an honorable death or whatever." But the mom was crying, and she's like, "My queen, why do you shed these tears?" And he's like, "Because, you fool, He-Man was Prince Adam." And that's when the king broke down. Remember when the king like lost his shit against the Man-at-Arms, and he was like, Yeah,
but you don't see what you don't see. I think what Toasty's saying is like his because it's been 8 years since that day, right?
What was the time frame between?
It's either 5 or 8 years have passed since He-Man has died. You don't see him wallow in sadness. You don't see the marriage deteriorate.
We're just told about it.
And I really hated that. They just told, the queen and the king are no longer technically together, but you don't see it.
Yeah, you don't really see it. They're still walking around with the crowns.
It's easily missed. Like, you don't see like the family falling apart. Like, what happened after he died? We don't know what happened in that castle.
Right. Like, I can see what you're saying then. Maybe if we got a scene of that in part 1 at least, where we show like they're in shambles, like their son died.
No, I would have loved to see it in part 2 because there were so many scenes in the first 2 episodes where nothing was going on. It was just useless things happening. I'm like, y'all could have fit something for 2 minutes in there about the parents' relationship. After the mom mentioned that they had issues, they could have had a 1-minute scene where they show a quick flashback of what happened. Did the husband lose his mind? Did he blame the wife for not telling him? Did the wife tell him, no, you should have known better, treat our son better?
That was an interesting dynamic that they could have done.
Yeah, they could have done all of that, just something quick, a minute or 2, because they had the time, because they wasted their time with other garbage. So they can't say they couldn't put it in the budget. So, and I'm sure 90% of the people that are watching this probably don't even remember that the king and queen technically divorced at the beginning of part 2.
Right.
Because it's easily missed. It's just a quick sentence. If you blink for a second or you were on your phone like Grandmaster, you probably missed it.
I caught that part.
Or if you were asleep.
I caught that part. I missed the part where he calmed him down. But, He-Man dies in part 1 and everybody's life goes to shit. And the king and queen look relatively fine. And that's their son. And it's like their marriage is in shambles, but it really doesn't show that much. Yeah. Like, they speak it never goes mentioned again, and then what happens in the finale happens.
They reconcile. They're like, "Oh, our son's back. Let us unite once more."
Right. So it was like, okay, nice story beat, I guess.
Yes. All right. Fair enough.
Could have had something. Could
have had something a little bit more. I would have loved to see more of that. But one dynamic that I think they did pretty good on was seeing Evil Lynn and what her position was in this new seat of power that she got in. Honestly, I mean, from part one, I thought Evil Lynn betrayed her squad, the main squad, because she had some grand plan to like betray Skeletor from the beginning, but turns out that wasn't the case. She was like,
just a douchebag.
All right, he's back. I'm going back, and I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so that kind of ruined the character a little bit, just a little bit for me. But
no, don't do that. Evelyn's the best character on this whole show.
No. I'm saying just the transition from her.
No, there's a reason for it all.
There's a reason.
Remember, in part one, she's helping them out because she's like, the world is suffering. We need the magic back. And then
and she was bonding with them along the way.
Right, and then the wrench in the plan. This is my underlying theme. When Skeletor appears, she reverts back because.
Are we on episode 3? Is this what?
Are we on episode 3?
Yeah. We're on episode 3.
Well, she's just an abuse victim, you know.
Okay.
And a lot of abuse victims go back to their abuser or go back to their form, to another form of their abuser, or seek out the abuse. And so, of course, she's like she's been in rehab this whole time.
Okay.
And then someone says, "Hey,
that was relapse."
Right, she relapsed. She totally relapsed, and that is what's going on. That's why, although it seems like all that character development in part one was for nothing, she's the most complicated character on the show.
All right.
Stand by my girl.
I could see that.
You made a good point.
Evil Lynn, I mean, I like her new design. I like her design as
with the bat.
Is compared to her last one. I wasn't a fan of the whatever her original design was. I don't know. I didn't like, because like I feel like when these creators got creative with new with these new designs, I feel like they looked better. Like I know there was no buff Skeletor man back then. This has to be a new design. I could be wrong, but
no, I think it totally is.
It's a new design and it looks bad. I have it as my background. This thing looks freaking cool. I like it. I like it. So Evil Lynn, I'm sure that design didn't exist back then with her I guess that bat form. I thought it looked better than her original design. So when the creators got creative and they gave new designs to different, characters or animals or whatever, it looks cool. So I like her. I liked her bat design. I hated how she was treating my boy Beastman though.
She treated like a dog.
I felt so bad, especially what happens to Beastman at the end. He just dies. He dies. Yes,
they threw him off the building.
Cringer. When Cringer's fighting him as Beastman, he just throws him off the bridge. He falls to his death. He's dead.
Yeah, we saw a body. We
didn't see a body, but it's like, are you surviving that? We don't know how deep that chasm is. He's probably dead.
He probably still falling right now.
He's probably still falling as we're speaking.
And that's more to my point because Beastman. Are we on episode 3? This is episode 3, right?
I kind of jumped to like episode 4 or 5. I just wanted to mention Beastman because still like the Beastman dynamic is still here in episode 3 because Beastman's still talking to her and trying to convince her like, yo,
Beastman is her
conscious,
like, her sponsor, her like rehabilitation sponsor.
Rehabilitation.
And like he's pushing her to do, the good stuff, and then he's pointing out like, you sound just like him.
Oh my God, she got so pissed.
Why do you let him treat you like this? You're the new sorceress. You have more power. Which he points that out.
Yeah.
He
was way smarter than people give him credit for.
Yes.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Skeletor, he treats Evil Lynn like, why is he so mean?
Douche. He's just a douche, dude.
I just hated it because maybe it's Mark Hamill and I expect some level of sympathy from one of his characters.
Mark Hamill beats the crap but all his female subordinates in every role he plays.
Oh my god.
Listen, man, every time I thought, okay, he's gonna say something nice to Evil Lynn, and then he just slaps her. Like,
Yeah, why are you so useless?
I'm like, God, man, why you gotta do this? Why you gotta be so mean, Skeletor? I mean, there was a scene I remember talking about with someone where he's like, you know, there's that pillar of light that Skeletor goes into so that he can see like all the secrets of the universe, and like he's monologuing to himself, but Evil Lynn is right behind him, and she's kind of like in her own little world, like looking at her like staff or whatever. Skeletor is monologuing to himself, and Skeletor turns around, he's like, Lynn, am I boring you? And I'm like, come on, man, you weren't even talking to her. Like, he's just
it's
so
her
mean.
fault. She should have paid attention. That's what he said.
She should have paid
Right, that was
attention.
her job. She was supposed to sit there and take notes.
She was supposed to take notes, and I mean, well, this point is kind of the turning point with her character, because, you know, Skeletor brings her into that pillar of light, and he shows her the, I guess,
Universe.
the universe and the celestial apex, the center of all of existence. And I guess Evil Lynn had a revelation that life was meaningless because there's no grand scheme, there's no God, it's just emptiness, chaos, destruction. And Skeletor is at the peak of that power and just using it to one up He-Man.
Yes.
So she's tired of that nonsense, and this was one of the more awkward scenes in the show. But Evil Lynn attempts to seduce Skeletor, and it's
That was
implied
so awkward.
it's implied that they've done it multiple times before.
And that was my whole thing. I was like, I don't know in the original series that they had a relationship.
I think it was. I don't think maybe it was never said, but it's kind of like implied because they're the main evil man and the main evil woman, so you can assume.
You know what I assume? Because again, these are grown people playing with toys. Why don't we Skeletor and Evil Lynn?
Let us have Skeletor, baby.
Like, they're like, Skeletor's a man. His face is only the skeleton part. He still has
He's
parts.
still a man.
He wears a loincloth. He's got needs.
God.
Evil Lynn has needs. And
That's
so it
right.
makes sense that she would crave him, because she craves power. So, but the whole time I was like, is she gonna kiss him? He
The
doesn't have
skull.
lips.
Yeah.
The skull. Yes.
So weird.
And they did it. They did it. Like, maybe if they didn't do the kissing part, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's what they do. Whatever.
It would have made more sense without the kissing. I was like, he doesn't have lips. There's no
He
lips.
doesn't. What? Who's feeling? I mean, I guess there's sensation for him, because maybe he could feel the lip part, but I don't know. It was weird. It was awkward.
It was weird. Yeah.
But yeah, Evil Lynn takes the sword. She claims the power, and now she, while also being the sorceress of Grayskull, is now champion of the universe, and she becomes Buff Lynn. She got ripped.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Is that the
The-
dub?
I thought you were gonna
He's
say
got-
She-Man, but
Oh my God.
She-Lin. No, it's
But-
She-Lin.
Is it Sheila? Oh, Sheila.
I don't
there
know.
you
I
go.
don't know.
No, it's
I'm just
not.
making it up. I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, hey, all these names are fitting. I feel.
Well, you
like
take
they-
the pronouns, so it's based on how she identifies. Because
So,
if
right.
she's non-binary, she'd be Vaylin or
Vaylin.
or
That's
Themlin.
right.
Themlin. I'm just saying it's based on the pronouns.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, she got a new design. She got ripped. I thought
Yeah.
she looked all right. She got the short, the haircut, the haircut.
The classic haircut that they have to go to.
They-
Oh my god.
It's typical
Toasty, are you
Hollywood
not fans
stuff.
of this haircut? What's wrong, man?
I did. It's not that I hate. Like I love strong female characters in story. You know, like my favorite game series, Tomb Raider. I like Horizon, but I feel like in Hollywood, the way they only want to portray strong woman is just to cut off their hair. If you cut off their hair, they're a strong woman. That is it. If your hair grow back, then you're feminine. There's no in between, and I just kind of feel like it's a cliche, and I really hate that cliche.
No, I think you mentioned it before in our part one.
Because
Tila.
Tila, they did the same thing with Tila.
Right.
Oh, she needed to stand up and be, I guess, the man. They cut off her hair, but we can go over what happened at the end of the show. So I'm gonna bring that up again toward the end in episode 5.
All right. So Tila has the power. Now Skeletor with no power comes running like a little sewer rat.
He runs away like a dog.
Evil Lynn, you said Tila.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Who we
Evil
haven't
Lynn.
been talking about nearly.
We haven't been. Okay, you see, I feel like the reason why I've been talking about Tila is because
sauce.
she's lost in the sauce in part 2.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything.
She was literally the main character in part 1, and that's what kind of divided fans of the original, whoever they were, coming into part 1. They're like, oh no, this is just a Tila show. While there are elements that are still focused on Tila in part 2, I feel like they strike more of a balance between focusing on Tila, focusing on He-Man, focusing on Skeletor, focusing on Evil Lynn. I feel like those are the main people that they keep shifting between. But Tila's really not doing anything. Her friend, I keep what's her friend's name?
Andra. Did you just call her? Did you say black girl?
I didn't say. I said Andra.
No, Toasty
I said the black girl. Because I watched 2 seasons of that show and I cannot remember her name because she was just around. She was just like a.
She was just there. Yeah,
I think her name is Andra.
Okay.
Or Andra. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of her in part 1 because the same reason why I'm not a fan of her here. She's just there. She doesn't. She doesn't do anything. And then I remember, just to give her some level of clout, King Randor appoints this newcomer who he knows nothing about as a lieutenant in his army. And I'm like, what's going on?
Okay, he's cutting off for you too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait, can you hear me now?
Hold up, backtrack. Yeah, you cut off.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My bad. No, I was saying that King Randor, who he meets Andra for the first time, doesn't know who she is, goes off the word of Tila alone, and basically says, I'm going to appoint you as lieutenant of one of my armies. And, wait, am I cutting off again?
No, we heard you this time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you were saying, like, he appointed to the commander of the army. So you're a foot soldier that's been following the king for 8+ years. You would have lost your shit. Because you're like, dude, like, since the prince died, I've been following this king, and probably even before that. Yet, this random girl that just comes out of nowhere becomes my commander. Like, it makes no sense. They just gave her the role because they wanted her to have something. Say, hey, by the way, we didn't forget about this character. Give her something on the side. That is it.
You know what I realized? Yeah. She didn't lead anything in the finale. From what she did.
Fought.
But no, remember, she was appointed lieutenant. She was appointed lieutenant of one of her armies. She didn't do any lieutenant things.
There was no leading in that final fight period. Yeah, there's all kind of
charge
forward. Yeah, there was no strategy. There's absolutely no strategy.
They forgot. That's my logic.
Oh my god!
They just straight up forgot.
Yeah,
I don't think they care. I think part 2 loses a lot of focus on minor details or like minor characters who were getting a lot more shine in part 1. Right. So like it's very Skeletor heavy, very Evil Lynn heavy, very Prince Adam heavy, which is like the mainstays of the original. So it's like everything that made part 1 really cool as far as focusing on the minor characters. Now there's like, oh, we'll get the main characters back. Let's just give them more of the attention in their story. Because like, yeah, Andra, you know, what she's appointed to at the end of the series is like,
oh, that's right.
Was that deserved? Like, did we want you grow into that role?
You know what they were impressed by? That Iron Man move that she pulled off.
Oh shit, that was such an Iron Man ripoff. Yes. I immediately thought of Iron Man. Yep.
That was Iron Man 2. Yeah, that was Man at Arms. There you go. You got the promotion.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of the minor characters definitely got pushed to the side. Which, I mean, if we're only gonna have 10 episodes or 5 episodes for a finale, I guess I would prefer the major characters. But then you have problems like this, like with Andra. She's just one example. There are other characters too that didn't really get a lot of time to shine. Man
at Arms, who's like just kind of
Duncan, yeah,
he was just gave Tila a pep talk, he gave Evelyn a pep talk, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. He just all right, there you go. I'm a motivational speaker for the main female characters in this story, and
they would be nowhere without me.
It would be nowhere without me. Absolutely nowhere. So, but then no, in episode 4, we have He-Man and Skeletor interactions. I actually like that part of episode 4. Like,
yes,
they definitely hated each other, but they're willing to put aside most of their differences to challenge Tila, I don't know why I keep calling her Tila. Evelyn.
Oh, it's Godlin. That is what she's dubbed.
Oh, is that the official?
Godlin.
I guess, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, no, that does make sense. She becomes a god basically. Oh my gosh, what I loved was when Skeletor and Prince Adam went in on oh wait, can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was cutting off for me.
Oh no.
I liked it when Skeletor and Prince are frozen.
Well, they just move on without him.
Okay. Where were we?
You was mentioning the scene when they appear in front of Godland. He most likely probably was gonna mention the scene where Skeletor called out He-Man and said he just need to talk to you. I'm assuming that's what he was gonna go. He just said yes.
Well, I mean, I think it was funny, but yeah, no, talking wasn't gonna work at this point. How do you can't talk down a god?
No, and why would you bring the person that was abusing her to talk to her?
Right, actually, very good point. It's like she just overcame everything, and now you bring back the drug.
Exactly.
You bring back the mound of cocaine.
Or why not bring back the people? Why not bring back Tila? She ended with the black girl, Andra.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Fantastic.
What were you saying, by the way? Because we were talking about how Skeletor questioned He-Man for just wanting to talk to Evelyn.
Yes.
When they first got into that room.
Yeah. That was hilarious. It was funny.
Yeah, he's like, you just want to talk. I don't get it. Crazy, right?
Crazy. I know. But then, like, Godlin wasn't having any of that. She attacks both of them. I like the little portal thing Skeletor was doing. It was kind of creative.
Adam really held his own in that fight.
He did before getting the power back.
Which makes me think is like, I wonder, because like he's always painted as like he can't do nothing unless he's He-Man.
Right.
Like, but what's he been doing? Has he been training in Preternia? Or was he always training? Because they always made it seem like he was useless.
No, he had to be training because he was the prince of the country. And as the prince, he had to be trained by some kind of general. Like,
which I think is Man at Arms was supposed to be.
The Man at Arms.
Yeah.
So
because he also knew who He-Man was. So it would even encourage it more for him to train him.
I think it's just because he was scrawny and small compared to everybody else in that universe. So that just automatically assumed that he was going to be weak.
Yeah, everyone's ripped in the
I was about to say, he may be small, but he's pretty ripped. for a shrimpy
He's toned.
dude.
He's toned.
He's toned
Yeah.
for a shrimpy dude, right?
But everybody else is like 7 feet tall. He's standing at 5'5", and they're like, nah, like you're not gonna do anything, man. Just stay home.
Right. No, I totally get it. He held his own as much of a, as toned as he was, he held his own in a room full of buff as hell people, especially with Godlin.
Yeah.
Because Godlin just got through. Oh my God, we glossed over. Godlin killed, destroyed their Valhalla.
Okay.
He destroyed Fraternia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, all those heroes are dead.
I mean, they don't have an afterlife now. Is that correct?
Well,
Technically,
Well, because
no.
at the end, did they bring it back? I was kind of
we don't know.
I don't.
don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know because like
Okay.
given the end of the series, or I don't know if the series is over, but given the end, I'm like, y'all just gonna give her a pass? Y'all just gonna give her a free pass? Like,
Yeah,
the queen over here is just screaming, she killed heaven. Like,
that's right. She was very blunt about it. She was very straightforward. She killed heaven. Look what she did.
all those people were dead, living in, just peace and whatnot. And then they're like, okay, we're dead again.
She had no reason to do that. She had no reason
She
to
did
do
not
that.
need to do that.
She
Right.
wanted to
These people had
showcase
no
her
reason.
power. To show, I guess she wanted to like showcase the fear in people. Like, look what I can do. I can literally destroy Valhalla, heaven. I can
But
destroy
that's
it.
the issue. Most
Don't
people
come
would not
fight
even
me.
know. Most people would not even know that heaven it got destroyed. Most of the people on the planet would not know. Why not destroy half of the population on the planet instead?
No, they would know. She showed it to all of them.
You know, I guess that's fair. But
Well,
again,
but
my
they
point
didn't
still
know it
stands.
even existed before.
Yeah.
It was
They
always,
didn't?
It's heaven, so it's like,
But I
They
thought it was
don't.
assumed like everyone
Not
gets a free
everyone.
pass.
It-
No,
it's
everyone
a-
heroes.
everyone
it's
gets a free
assumed.
pass.
it's
It's
assumed because
it's assumed.
I mean, they didn't know Adam was up there until
Yeah.
they got there.
They didn't know Adam was up there though.
No, because it's heaven. You have no idea it's real until you actually die.
But in this universe, I thought they knew it existed because there's a Subternia, which is hell in their universe, and they went there.
I guess, but you don't know if Adam would actually even qualify or make it.
Yeah,
So
not
it's like-
everybody makes it to heaven. Only the heroes make it to heaven.
Right.
So the average people, we don't even know where they go. I'm guessing they go to some kind of purgatory kind of world, but
Or they go to
Just
like
saying.
a lower tier fraternia.
Lower
Like you have
tier.
the hero fraternia, and then you got like
you have the VIP and then you have the common
Right,
average class
exactly.
people.
exactly.
But like even then, like why would people care? Okay, you destroy heaven, but all of us are still walking around here. You didn't do anything to the planet. Why not destroy the city? Why not burn or immediately delete one of the cities? Because that's what ended up happening.
Which
at
she
the end.
did. She did destroy one of the cities.
I mean, she did, but wasn't the city like empty?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
completely-
No, I think it was. I think it had people in it. I saw people running around.
it was a good showcase of power. I think it just would have made more sense if it was more directed at, like, say, what if she destroyed Skeletor's mountain?
Did he have a mountain? Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
Snake
He did.
Mountain,
Snake Mountain.
where she
right.
suffered most of her abuse.
But I mean, isn't that thing empty? Like no one's there though.
No, the motherboard people are there.
Oh, the mother. Oh, that's
Who will
okay.
come back to?
We'll come back to that. Yeah, Skeletor and He-Man tag team was great. He-Man eventually gets the sword back. He calls on the power. We get Buffman back on the scene, and
But
but what does he do?
he shares the power with Skeletor.
What are you doing? I want
Idiot.
you to know what it feels like to save the universe. I thought that was great. I liked it.
That was good. That was
It was
good.
It was good. It was good. And we got Cringer because what's Cringer's alter?
Battle Cat.
Battle Cat.
No.
Okay. So we got the creator's fantasy of the main hero and the main villain teaming up for a greater good. They're fighting. It was cool. I like this scene. And then we got to see some. Oh my God, the creators really had fun with the He-Man scene where he goes out into the battlefield. Well, actually, no. I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
Teela is somewhere in the background. doing her thing, coming to terms with
The mom.
the mom. Yeah, like, oh, I didn't want to abandon you. You don't have to get rid of your attachments. Whatever. And she becomes the sorceress, right?
Yeah,
of
she's the
Grayskull?
sorcerer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so she becomes the sorceress of Grayskull, and now she's gonna 1v1 Godlin. Once Godlin is taken out of the picture, Skeletor, man, his obsession
You
comes.
just go back.
He
He's
just-
like,
I'm like, no, man, come on, why?
No, it makes sense. It makes
no,
sense.
world class pettiness right there.
It
This man is way
makes
too petty.
sense. It makes sense. And then on top of that, He-Man gave him the power. There is no
gave him
better
the
time
power.
to challenge He-Man than right now.
I mean, this
What's
was a
beating
scene
Prince
one of the-
Adam? Beating Prince Adam doesn't mean anything.
It
you know?
doesn't. No, it beating He-Man as Skeletor Man is something though. Like that was a good showcase of power. But you know,
Yeah.
I love how he goes, "It's not about us."
that's right.
Like, what don't
that
you
was
get?
that was the fan base. They're like, why Skeletor?
Bro, pettiness.
I
It's all
wasn't-
pettiness.
I wasn't expecting Skeletor to be like Kumbaya at the end of all this. Like the man is just pure evil.
But
But
in the middle of the battle, they're still in the middle of the battle.
They're
It is
still-
not over.
exactly, like okay,
Right.
you're gonna kill He-Man, but like, if Godlin wins, she's gonna come back to you. I don't know. It was wild.
The
It was
man
wild.
did not care. He just wanted to beat up He-Man. That
He
is
wanted-
it. That's all that mattered. That was the goal. That was the mission.
He-
It was everything.
That
to
was
him.
the assignment. He wanted to
Yeah.
pass the assignment.
God,
um,
an idiot to the
Oh
end.
my god. So from there, He-Man gets flung out into the battlefield. This is again more of that Castlevania animation. The animators had fun just having Jesus Christ, He-Man just ripped through everyone in his path. He's
Like a
laughing
dog.
almost like a maniac. He's smiling the
Yes.
entire time. But you got a cool money shot at the end. I liked it. It was cool. It was neat.
What was the money shot?
The thing at the with the explosion after he like annihilated like half of the army from Godlin. He did the thing where he pointed the sword at the sky and there was like an anime explosion behind him. Everyone's like, yeah, hooray, yay.
Yeah, I think the final battle had a lot of cool stuff. You didn't even mention the big return.
Oh, the big return, my
Which
boy.
I did not care for him.
Orko. Oh,
you
shut
didn't care?
up.
You
No.
didn't care?
No,
No.
did not care
Oh,
the
you
first time
stink.
around. Y'all can go back and watch, and I still do not care this time.
Wow, I thought it was pretty cool.
It was cool. I liked
Now,
it.
on top of that, he's over here like he's a master now.
He's a master of magic now. And again, new designs from the characters that he had drip. That color scheme. I think it was the same outfit, but the color scheme was I liked it.
It's white because white is pure. White is the best. So if you're
Exactly.
in all white, you're next level.
You're a
So.
sage of six paths. Essentially.
Darker shades are beneath white. So that's that
Exactly.
subtext right there.
Exactly. He came in. He did shadow clone jutsu. He's fighting across the whole
He
battlefield.
did do Shadow Clone, which was really cool. I
Oh
like
my
how they
God.
kept it, like everybody. He was like at everybody's pivotal fights.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Then you saw him like return back.
exactly.
It's all powerful. Yes.
It was cool. I liked Orko coming back. You got a couple. One thing I did not like, and that kind of skips a little bit towards the end. Well, we'll save it for the end with Orko.
Okay.
Yeah. So Godlin, it's funny. We barely mentioned Tila throughout this entire.
We
thing.
haven't really been.
Because
She-
nothing
she-
happened to
She's
her.
had a major character moment throughout this part too, with coming to terms with what her mom did. And honestly, this might have been the parts where I really didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, mom left, and that's sad. And yeah, we gotta learn to not do that in the future. I don't know what they wanted me to do. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe you guys are seeing something that I'm not, but
Well, you didn't have time ever with either one of the characters.
you didn't
Uh,
have time.
I mean,
That's
I
it.
guess, and that's within the story as well. So it's just like, Oh, hey, we're in the middle of a battle, and like, there's a lady who just destroyed heaven. She's about to destroy everything else. Let's fix our mommy-daughter issues later, you know.
Right.
And that's the issue with having a 5-episode part 2. Like, everything feels rushed.
Right.
And I think, like, even with what happened with Sela at the end, like, it feel like it's rushed the way she went from being normal to having those abilities. Like, I feel like there was no plot progression. It's just like boom, boom, boom. Okay, you got this, you get this, you get this, you get this. It's simple. That's
She
all
went
they
to
did.
normal human to like God in the span of like a couple minutes.
Because
Exactly.
it was her birthright versus
It was her
actually
birthright.
trained for it. It would have made way more sense for Evelyn to have to take on the sorcerer's role. She's been a
Exactly.
sorcerer the whole time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, for
And
sure.
by saying your birthright, what happened if Sela doesn't have kids? Does it just stop? Or does it go to like a distant cousin? Because that's the only reason the mom had her, is that so she could succeed the mom in the future. So, like, what is the logic with it? Like, why did she have to do it? And I understand why she did it, because, you know, I guess in the original story, she is a sorceress. Or maybe she is
No,
not.
I
but
don't think
Tila,
she's
no, I don't think
No,
she
she's
is.
not.
just a badass female warrior.
Yeah.
Okay, you see, then it doesn't make any sense. Like her power comes out of nowhere. And even when she did get her power, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, your powers are cool, but I did not care that she got the powers at the same time. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like,
No, it
just-
makes
I don't
sense.
know.
Makes sense.
No, it does. You like that she, like, you know, she's basically a god, but you didn't like the way she earned it, and that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now we know, okay, you're a god, you're powerful, you do all those things. That's really good. But you, for some reason, were also the first person to think that maybe you didn't have to sacrifice anything. How long did this power exist? How many people went to this world without asking themselves, why don't I just leave the castle? And you know what? Why isn't the castle a better looking castle? Why does it have to look like a dump if somebody has to live in there? Like, what is
It
the
looks
logic with
evil.
you?
I growing up, I thought that was Skeletor's like castle,
yeah.
and it's called Grayskull, for God's sake. So
Exactly. Like, I don't understand the logic with them being stuck to the castle, being forced to stay at the castle, not telling anybody that they're in the castle or saying who they are, because obviously that doesn't apply to the power, because Tila did the opposite of everything and she became the most powerful. So he's saying that Tila was the smartest and everybody else was a bunch of clowns running around following orders.
you know
Right.
what's weird? Since you said that, her mom was trying to tell her, you got to get rid of your attachments to, you know, embrace the power of being the sorceress. All Tila said was no.
No.
And
And the mom was like,
and
oh,
that's
snap.
it.
What do I do
You
now?
could say no. And like, I thought there was gonna be a revelation where like Tila like found like a strategy like to overcome the rules of being the sorceress, but all she said was no.
No. Magic
I'm not
word right
doing
there,
that.
y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, just say no and you will succeed.
Oh man, I guess I don't know. Tila, because Tila did that, she's the sorceress. She beats Evelyn. Do we think that fight was earned? I mean, I thought it was fine. You know,
It was
their
a
fight.
cool fight.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think the power system is very clear on how Evelyn has all the power, and yet the sorceress can beat her.
Yeah, because like because like it's established, because when the Celestial Apex became a thing, you now are a tier above whatever Castle Grayskull gave you, if that makes sense. Like, she should be more powerful than the sorceress, but
Right.
maybe her not being shackled by the attachments of her loved ones, maybe that gave her a power boost. I don't know. It gave her a power boost to match the BS that Godwin was doing. I don't know, man.
This is the issue. This is all headcanon. Like, they have the time to flesh out the story. This is just supposed to be beautiful. Boom, magic shot, move, magic shot. Like, this happened, and then we move on. Like, there's no story at all. So whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it is not really fleshed. So, but it was a cool fight. It's cool.
No, it
Yeah,
was.
Yeah.
If your program is not working, beat the living shit out of them to knock some sense into them, which
Exactly.
is essentially what happened.
Exactly. That's the remedy to everything, all your problems. If words are not working, use your fists.
Right.
Exactly.
And everything works out in the end. But yeah, Evelyn gets defeated. She's shown the beauty of the universe instead of all the ugliness and chaos, which I felt like that was the direction they were going with when I felt like it was going to be a battle of the ideals against Evelyn to really defeat her, because she's basically God. So you can't really punch her out of existence. So you're going to have to convince her that life is worth living. And Teela just shows her a field of flowers and like the sunrise, and she's like, yeah, look, life is beautiful. And
Okay,
Evelyn's
I'll
like,
stop being evil now.
you're right. I was wrong. But because of that, Evelyn reverses everything that she's doing. Orko, this was really weird. So Orko was supposed to go back because the magic was being reversed, so he was going to go back to being dead.
All the raised dead would return.
All of them, and by the way, Scareglow, he 1v1 Scareglow, so that was cool. That was the guy that killed him in part 1, so I thought that was neat. He was able to beat him. But yeah, he's going back, and then Teela grabs. No, it wasn't Teela. No, it wasn't Teela. It was Evelyn. She grabs it because Teela's like, "Oh my God, Orko, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." And she's like, "It's okay, Teela. I'm going back. Goodbye."
I had a proper goodbye, right?
And Evelyn's like, "No."
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? What do you mean no?
Why? I was just wondering if anybody could just say no and grab him.
I get, like, is it because she's now like Evelyn normal? She's not like Godlin anymore, so it's
I was like, she must have some power still to be able to do that.
She might, but it's not established. Like, is it Evelyn's power that lets her do that? Is it? Could anyone have grabbed it? It really begs the question.
No, but dude, that's all you need to know. All you need to do and say in this show is no, and you're set.
Just say no.
But wait, I'm dying. No, you're not.
Oh,
you're alive.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess everything is fine. Let's go back to work.
You're right. Oh my God. Yeah, that was definitely a victim of this show only being like, or at least this part being 5 episodes. Oh my God, it was very, very off.
Yes.
But everyone gets a happily ever after. Well, mostly everyone. Well, actually, it's funny. He-Man, I thought He-Man said, "I'm not gonna fight Skeletor." And then he just sends him blasting off into the strap, like Team Rocket style.
I was just saying that, yep.
So he goes flying. He eventually loses the power. Everyone's happily ever after. Andra's man-at-arms. Prince Adam and Teela have a thing now going on, which I guess...
no allusion
to.
So,
build up.
But again, it's that toy mentality where she's the main female, he's the main male. You're like Teela, He-Man, and there you go.
Actually,
the Sorceress and He-Man side by side.
It's like, okay, whatever.
But funny about that, I noticed that when they wanted them to have a relationship, they lower her down to look even more feminine than she did even before the day he died. She went from being buff, short hair, and now she's
independent.
Skinny. Yeah, she went to. I feel like she was shorter also this time, and she was almost the same height as her.
Yeah, I always got the vibe that she was taller than him.
In part 1, she looked like she was a feet taller than this man. Like, the man was scrawny, she was just standing over him. But this time they made it seem that she got shorter and she became way more feminine. I'm like, y'all don't look like y'all looked a couple episodes ago. So what happened?
Prince Adam was not. Oh my God.
Like, it's like they don't know what they want to do with their characters. That's my issue. That goes back to my point. When they want to show a strong, independent female character, they just give her the buzz cut, which they gave to the black girl at the end. So
they did.
My point still stands. So again, I'm tired of these Hollywood idiots doing the same thing. Oh, she's a strong, independent black girl. Cut their hair. That's all you need. Evil Land or Godland. Cut the hair. That's all she needs. oh, you go back to your man, or you
Oh
go
my
back to
God.
you go back to being a weak female, grow your hair, because Evelyn hair grew back at the end. So
Yes,
there
it
we
did.
go.
Grew
Yes, it
back
did.
at the end. Oh my God.
There we go. I'm telling you, this Hollywood, they think they're
It's
catering
more
to
on the
people.
nose than He-Man. It's more on the
Yeah.
nose.
They're acting as if they're catering, but another way, it's like they just thinking stereotypes. None of them are being smart about it. Like they're like, oh, let's just cater to people and be like, do this, and at the end of the day, y'all doing a really bad job, because if I can notice this, I know some other people figure it out. So
Right. And we're just casually watching it. Like,
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
half the time I was on my phone because
there was not a lot,
Yeah,
not a
It
lot
is
going
what
on.
it is.
yeah,
But the last bit I guess we can cover, Skeletor. At the end, he gets sent back to Snake Mountain with
Yes.
the tech people and the motherboard.
coaches.
And I guess there was always an assumption that they were obsessing over something that was not real. It was just a statue. Turns out the statue was real. It was an actual god, and she turned Skeletor into a tech goon, I guess.
I have no clue.
Techlator, my dude.
Right. Yeah.
Techmator, is that what it's called?
Techlator, yes.
It's some
Techlator.
kind
Up with
of
the
tech
name.
version of Skeletor. Yeah, I didn't really know what to make of it.
Right, right.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. That's the ending.
I didn't even know there was gonna be more. I thought this was it.
Yeah.
I feel like it was it in a way.
No,
you know,
they're gonna do more.
I feel like what they did, because you have to think about it, like a lot of their character arcs that made them characters are resolved. Like there's really nothing more you could do with the main characters, and they just fought God. They fought a celestial being. Like it's very hard to top that in a future season. What I felt like they did is they concluded the story they wanted to tell. And if people want a season 2, they left enough vagueness at the end for a season 2.
Dude, they fought a human god. They never fought a robot god. And that's what you're going to get in season 2.
Yes, actually,
Yes.
I'm not
technically-
here for it.
because
Yeah.
that was the whole thing. It was like technology versus magic, and now,
Yes.
yeah, you have like a techno god. So
That can turn humans into, or human-like beings into robots. So it's going to be zombie invasions. Just keep watching.
But what character arcs are you going to introduce that have already been
Tila and
resolved?
He-Man are going to break up. And that's going to be the tension.
And she's
in the
going to cut her
next
hair
season.
again?
Yes.
let her cut her hair. If she wants to cut her hair, you let her cut her hair.
Let her cut her hair.
Let her cut her hair. Right.
Do we want a season 2? Do you guys want a season 2?
I don't want to
that's
see
my
Orko
question.
anymore, so no.
Oh my gosh.
Shut up about
Leave
Orko.
Orko alone.
But I mean, I'm kind of indifferent to it. Like I like this. I like this 10 episode thing. It had flaws. It had a lot of things that did not make sense. But overall, it was a good fun watch. That kind of what Toasty said earlier. I'm not gonna watch it again, but I liked my first watch. I like Mark Hamill as Skeletor. I like the team up they had at the end. But do I want a season 2? I feel like they're just leaving room for a season 2 if they want to do it. Like what you guys were saying, the tech people might rise up and do something, but they resolved literally almost everything with every other character in the show. For them to do a season 2, they have to think of some brand new stuff to bring in.
They resolved the peak too. It's like, yeah, you just beat a god. How do you go above a god?
How do you
So
go
it's
above a god?
Whatever they do with these techno people has to be better than Evil Lyn as a god.
It has to
Which
be.
they've set the bar so high. So yeah, I don't really care for a season.
I
mean,
think this
I
is
guess they're
it.
gonna
I think this
get
is
it.
it.
No, I think they're gonna do it.
You think they're gonna do it? You think they're
Yeah.
gonna?
100%. 100%. They're going to milk this.
Oh yeah. If the fanboys are gonna argue all over social media, that's publicity. There's no such
Yeah.
thing as bad publicity.
Stop! No, there is such thing as bad publicity. If the reviews are bad, they're not gonna
Were the
do a season
reviews
2.
bad for part 2?
That's what
I
I'm
haven't
actually
heard
looking up right
anything.
now.
I haven't
Well,
heard anything about part 2.
the thing is, I
part
haven't heard
1, It was
anything.
all over
I haven't
social
heard-
media.
And that's the thing. I think people were just so mad at
at the director
at part 1 that they're like, well, this ruined the show. I'm not gonna watch part 2. Like, I'm just not gonna do it.
No, they're petty, dude. They're gonna watch it, dude. All of those people that were making up stories about part 1, like they all went back to watch it.
You want to see this? Critics for part 2, 89%, but that's only 9 critic ratings. This is Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. 789 user reviews, 46% for part 2.
They didn't like She-Man, that's why.
They didn't like Godlin.
Yes, God led She-Man. That's why, man. I'm telling you, like, for God's sake, we saw the post for the part 1. People were going all saying, "My dad, brother, long cousin watched this show with me."
Oh my God, I remember that
slipped
post.
on a banana peel and got hit by a trade. Like the memories. Like, for God's sake, like.
I'm actually okay, yeah, this is where you know people are being petty. So part one, critic reviews, Rotten Tomatoes, 94% out of 47 ratings. Audience scores, 7,048 reviews, 39%. It's I don't know, man. Reviews speak a lot when it comes to these things.
But viewership is what speaks the most. If people are still watching it, it doesn't matter. We watched the show, all 3 of us, but how many of us went online and wrote a review on it? Yeah, technically this is a review, but we didn't technically write it to, add it to the bigger pool of review to get a percentage. But
remember how with part 1, I said 7,000 reviews for part 1, right? For audience scores. And when we saw those people talking about it, we saw posts and social media really going in on part 1. Part 2, at least for me, and I'm sure you guys as well, I have not seen anyone talk about part 2. And the reviews reflect that too. There wasn't as many. It was a fraction of the reviews from part 1, and it's still low.
And I feel like the reason for that is that part 1, you have to remember that most of them were angry at the director for quote unquote lying that Tila was not the main character. That's the main thing. People just went off. Again, we just spoke about it. You had people making up stories that their brother, cousin, whatever died on the very day that the show was airing. And
y'all think he's exaggerating. He's not.
I am not. I remember sending him this post. And
I remember he sent us this post.
Dude, this guy said, today, 5 years ago, my brother died. And it's a painful day for me because I'm not having to celebrate, or not celebrate, but remember 2 deaths. The death of my brother and the death of the show that we grew up with. I'm like, man, if you grew up watching this, so you're a grown-ass man. You must be in your 40s or your 50s. It's time to move on. Like, why are you crying on social media? This show is obviously not made for you. And it was a ton of posts like this. Oh yeah, I watched this while I was off duty, on duty with my brother that died. And I'm like, my man, you're lying. I know you never stopped a step of foot outside. Go touch grass. So like, oh my, dude, it pisses me off. And this is why the first part had so many reviews. Those were not people that actually wanted to review, but it was just people trolling and hating the director. And the only way to affect them was by posting reviews. Those same idiots probably watched part 2, made their posts, but again, the director hasn't said anything controversial lately, so it's not gonna trend. And that's my point. I'm still thinking a lot of people watch it. I'm waiting for Netflix to release the official number because I think Netflix does tell us how many people watch the show.
Actually, yeah. Do you know how long it takes for them to drop that?
I don't know how long, but those numbers should be released really soon because there should be something that tells you, okay, within the first week, this X amount of people watch the show. That's not something that they like to hide. It's something that I always notice whenever there's a new show out. And I know they did it. I mean, I know Disney did it with Hawkeye, and they did it within the first day of the show coming out. So
yeah, I wish there was a way to see that.
I'm sure somewhere, there's probably somebody that is dropping those numbers. We just have to look for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried looking for it quickly, and I can't find anything.
Yeah. And you have to remember, whenever a second season appears for most shows, the viewership usually drops. So they might still be a drop in viewership. It still means that they're within the number that they expected to have another season.
Right. I don't know. I guess we'll see in the coming, year or years, if we're gonna get a season 2. I feel like
if we don't have one announced by May of next year, then it's not happening.
I want to. What's the studio's name again? Powerhouse Animation. I feel like they have enough on their plate, doing other cooler shows like
what?
Castlevania.
Blood of Zeus.
Blood of Zeus.
I don't like Blood of Zeus, but Castlevania, isn't Castlevania over technically?
No, the spinoffs.
Yeah, they got a spin-off.
Yeah, the spin-off. You know what?
They're doing, and I think they're
doing
also
Lara Croft.
they're doing Lara Croft, and I think they're also doing the Devil May Cry adaptation. I think on that
Oh,
one.
and I see they're doing King Kong, Skull
what?
Island. It says
Ew.
Skull Island. I'm pretty sure that's
the
just,
cartoon.
it's only
Yeah.
King Kong. Yeah.
Okay.
That's strange.
I'm excited about Devil May Cry.
Is that all their
Hopefully-
Is that all their projects?
That's all I see. Upcoming Tomb Raider, something called Heaven's Force,
Oh, okay, I see it.
Skull Island. Yeah.
Right.
Well, if they're
All right.
doing it about DMC, I'm hoping it's about the DMC spinoff, not Devil May Cry.
What?
Remember they're making up a Devil May Cry series. I'm hoping it resembles the character from the spinoff, the DMC spinoff.
No, shut up. You're trolling.
You know, I'm not trolling.
Anyways,
You know what? Grandmaster, you haven't
Anyways.
played this game, but if you want to get into Devil May Cry, play DMC, not Devil May Cry. There's a spinoff called DMC, and the viewers will agree is the superior version.
you are hurting your credibility more and more every time you open your mouth. anyways, I would say that wraps up Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2. Overall, pretty solid, fine, show. Nothing too great, nothing too bad. Had its problems, had its good moments. But let us know what you all think of Masters of the Universe Revelation. Now that we got a beginning and a conclusion, did you like one part over the other? Actually, let me ask you guys that. Did you prefer part 2 over part 1? Part 1 over part 2?
Watch it as a whole.
Watch it as a whole.
It's
agree.
25
I
hours
agree.
long, so just sit down.
25
one weekend.
hours?
It's 5 hours long for
Oh.
the entire show.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yeah, watch it in one sitting. Sitting. All of it. Much more cohesion. But yeah, I guess we'll see if season 2 comes around. We'll get Technomancer, Skeletor at some point. And yeah, but I would say this wraps up this episode of the Yonkō Table. Don't forget to leave a like on wherever you're listening the podcast on, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Instagram. We're practically on every platform. Let us know what you think. Leave a like, share it around, and we would love to hear your overall thoughts. But that is it for the episode. I am your Yonkō host, DrJaceAttorney, fellow Yonkō GrandMasterHoop, and fellow Supernova Toasty, signing off. Take care, everyone.